extremely proud of our football team. That was an extremely hard-fought game. We were able to make the play at the end to win the game. Team battled, fought, scratched, clawed. North Carolina State did a great job. I said that going in. They're a good football team. I knew they would come out here guns blazing at home, coming off a 3-game losing streak, and I knew they would be tough to play. They always play us well. They did. Very proud of our team, the way we competed in the game, played in the game, persevered, made plays. Defense did one heck of a job on that last stand, making the plays and the things they had to do. They made a lot of good plays in the game. They were really good on third down, third and long. We have too many third and longs in that game and in some situations, but our defense went in, and they rose up and made the plays offensively. We got things going. Had a couple drops early that set us down. And then we got the good drive, and in the second half we had a couple little things going, and every time we would answer up and come back with what we had. But just I think that was a huge win for us. I hope we can continue to build. And like I say, we learned to make the one more play today. We learned to make the one more play today, and I think it's another indicative of how good the league is. Very good team. No matter who you play in this league, you better be ready to play. It's a tough environment, good place to play. And again, some of our young guys just keep getting better and better. DeAndre was outstanding in the game. Dalvin was really good. We couldn't get him going like we could, but some of the young receivers, Nooney was really good. Auden Tate made some plays. Rudolph, that was a heck of a play at the end. Izzo caught balls. And we did what we had to do. But very proud of them, and get ready to go quickly. Good play a Friday night game against Boston College. Questions?
Jimbo, how would you describe how pleased you were to see that defense come up with that stand, given just what's gone on against Clemson and UNC?
Extremely big. Because I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of kids, and you're talking about a team that's very depleted player-wise. There's some guys down. You're talking about you got 3 safeties out there that are really, really big-time players. And for those guys, young guys, to keep stepping up in there and playing and making those plays. And of course, we lost another pass rusher, lost Burns at the end of that drive, and they shook that off and just kept making plays. And very proud of them. Charles, those guys did a great job.
How good was that to see? Because it didn't start out well, that drive.
No, it didn't.
30 yards in one play, really.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to set you up, man. I promise.
It is what it is. See what the call. They made a call. It was a good call. But thought one of our ends got tugged on to get around that edge too. So, but
what did I say about their ability?
Their will. To play the next play. That's what we talk about. The most important play is the next play. That's all that matters. The most important play is the next play. And that's what they did. Our kids they buy into everything we say. We got good kids, I'm telling you. We got good players. They're young, they're learning, but proud of the way they competed at that particular time in the game.
I've not even heard just for the game, but going forward for that young defense, for those guys to get that success.
And to get that and have that taste of making that stop. And again, it's like when you go play as a young player. You get in the game, and I got all these accolades, I can play and I can do this. But till you get in that game and play, and they go, something, I can do this. And I think as a team, you do that. As a unit, an offense, a defense. Again, the offense, another big-time drive when the game was on the line and made plays. Defense, fine. Now, they stood up and got the big stop. That's another step for us as a team. As a team, we understand how to do that and very proud of them in that regard.
Did you see Nudie break out for a second straight game?
It really is. It was really big for him. And, had a critical drop or two. Had some things early in the game that cost us a big drive right there coming off, and there was a route or two. And there's still a lot he can really clean up. There's still a lot he can really clean up, and he knows that. We just had to talk about that. A couple situations on a route on the sideline, he ran it a little bit deep. Just technical things. But I'm going to tell you, he's got a chance to be a very good player. But, other guys in that, I tell you, the big catch in that game right there was Kermit on that vertical catch on that back shoulder throw on the vertical. The one like Nooney made against Clemson, that 8 made right there, that was a big play. Auden Tate made some big plays in the game. Travis, to get out of that cut and go get that football and get in the end zone, and all those guys, I'm just proud of them.
Coach, this is a place that Florida State hasn't won back-to-back since the mid-'90s.
Someone told me that first time in 20 years we won back-to-back here. Somebody said, I said, wow, that's a heck of a state. That just shows you, and Florida State's had some really good football teams in between there in the 90s and all that stuff, and it shows you that this is a tough place to play and this is a good program.
After all the heartbreakers, though, and some of the back-and-forth games we've played here, to come out of here with a gritty one like that, what's that like?
It feels good, I'll tell you that. I feel good right now, I'm not going to lie.
Jimbo, have you had a season like this with all the swings in games, game to game, week to week, with the injuries, everything?
I don't know if I've had this many with the injuries and all that stuff when you go back to it. And at the same time, you're sitting there, you're a couple plays from being really tough season or a couple plays from having a phenomenal season right now. You know what I mean? But now I think that we have a young, talented football team who's learning how to persevere and get through some things together, and hopefully they'll learn from this. And like I say, the injuries, we've learned to overcome those. New guys stepping up, guys jumping over. Think of Ermin Lane don't move over what we are at safety right now. How big all those things are. It's amazing how a season twists and turns, and just proud of the kids, the way they're staying together. And I think this can be a very good team. I love the direction we're going.
Speaking of those injuries, we saw that Trey Marshall course, didn't play the second half. He told concussion-like syndromes. What led to it? Was it?
Well, he had him during the week, but they thought it was very light. He had no contact. He just had it in blue, so they let him run and exercise, which is part of protocol to see where a guy's at. And he was doing good, and we thought he would be able to play. And then we come up here the day before, and the same symptoms like he thought would be going in a day or two, which are typically going. He just had a couple. He just had a little bit lingering, and we said, listen, it don't matter. We're not going to ever put somebody on the field who has any circumstances or anything that would lead that wouldn't be good to his health. I mean, as bad as we needed him. I mean, and knowing him, he was wanting to play. You can bank on that. But as soon as you have any indication of that, we're never going to do that for a player safe. No game has ever worked that. So he just had a very small. It was actually a small lingering thing, but you can't do that.
I know you try to plan for these things in terms of, okay, what happens if X, Y, and Z, but to have it happen that late, I mean, how much adjusting do you and your staff have to do to kind of figure things out?
Well, we had to do, especially for a whole game, because we had some things in the second half that we wanted to do a little bit differently. You know what I mean? That we got guys ready in the first half to do, but then we had to make that change that night to try to add some of those things on to what, because you can't give a guy that first group too big a load. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure they can do what they got to do. So we tried to add a little bit of that, and Charles and those guys did a good job.
There were so many ups and downs the team has faced this season. How do you push them to continue to be so resilient?
It's what we do at Florida State, and that's not a cliche. I'm not trying to say that. That's our culture. That's what we build things on: the toughness, the effort, the discipline, the pride. We talk about it every day. We talk about finding a crumb. Now, just give me a little bit and let me go. Let me try. See a little, see a lot. And somebody challenges you, go higher. Just keep going higher to another level. No matter what it is, you can go higher. And then have some grit. You got to bite your teeth into it and go. And that's what I'm so proud of these guys doing. We talk about those things, those mottos, those things every day, and they believe them.
Is it a little bit more rewarding to get the win this week?
It is, and because it says that if you keep working and it shows you if the hard work and the things you do, it gets you to where you're going. You know what I mean? Again, that's another thing I think we got today. That's 35 straight bowl games. I think was getting close to a record. That sets us for 35 straight bowl games with being bowl eligible day. Another winning season. I mean, the last one I think we didn't have was 1981. So I mean, and the program and the things this program's accomplished over the years with Coach Bowden and the legacy he left. We just want to honor that and keep playing the same grit and determination they did.
But in your opinion, how much better was DeAndre in the second half than the first half?
He was better, but in the first half, sometimes though, you say a guy's better, but he got more opportunities. The opportunities got going. Sometimes the ball gets tipped, or there ain't somebody open, or whatever it is. But he was pretty good for the most part the whole game. But again, very clutch when the big moments came on. Made the throws, throws down the field, stood in there, took some shots, and a couple of those shots were nothing that no lineman. Like when our back picked up a blitz, and they call what they call a green dog. In other words, that means is whoever has the back then adds on, and there ain't nobody. I mean, that's part of football. And he stood in there a couple times, took those shots, and played well. But I thought for a couple times our offensive line blocked pretty well in pass pro for the most part.
And on that play, is Rudolph the first read?
Second.
Okay. All right. And, 'cause
I can't tell you everything.
Well, right, sure. But I mean, he stood in there and took a shot.
Oh, he did.
Off his back foot to get it all.
And we know we've been seeing when because they brought all out blitz. So when you go all out blitz now, so you can do that and you can miss and lay balls with air because there's no other defenders there to fall off. Like if you're in a zone and that happens, when a guy comes scot-free, I know when there's not a lot of extra blitzers, then you can't make those kind of throws. And we talk about that. And we talk you miss in safe zones. Those you got to throw away. When it's like zero, you throw it where our guy gets it over the top because it's pure man coverage. There's no help anywhere or anything like that. So those are things we talk about and work on at the end of games and red zones. And because in red zones you get a lot of pressure. We work a lot of those scenarios, and he's very good at it. When you have an arm that's that talented and athletic, he can create those plays.
And how good is that to see? Because he had made maybe his worst decision on the play before.
Oh, it was. He really did. I mean, how many times?
For
how many times? That's a big play. I mean, how many times you see that when he. I've seen it happen to us. You don't take advantage of an opportunity, and all of a sudden you get it the next play. And he made a big mistake in that one. That was one he should never throw.
How encouraging was it to see the passing game kind of pick up the slack when they did such a good job staying in the running game?
They did. They blitzes and the scenarios, and they were going. They've got a good front. That's what they've done. They played the game. We got enough running to go when we had to, but that left it to where they're going to play that. You got to have, as I say, a two-headed monster. You got to be able to throw and run. That's why I always talk about balance. That's why I don't ever like to be completely spread, and I don't ever like to be completely high. I think you got to have a great balance, and that's why I like what we do on offense, the ability to be versatile when teams do those things to get back to the other part of it.
There were two plays where Dalvin got nailed in the backfield where
I did tackle overread. Overreached one tackle to the boundary. He overreached one time, and I'm trying to think of the other one. I don't remember the other one. The other one's on a red run. It was about the midfield, and the tackle overreached. He overreached the guy that got beat him inside, and I can't remember the other one. I don't remember the other one. He just overreached the guy.
I know you talked about Nooney, of course, but to see Nooney and Auden kind of step up, You know, what's like to see these young receivers kind of take on these roles, because it seems like now with Nooney, you have someone who can kind of go everywhere, stretch the field. With Auden, it seems like you've got that big receiver everybody's talked about. You guys trying to get and develop.
Exactly. I agree. I'm smiling. Odd don't put that ball on the ground, a big knucklehead. Had that critical. We had a good drive going there too. We had a couple drops, a fumble, and then we had some other drives going. But again, that's a good defensive football team.
I mean, are you surprised? I mean, I know you know that Nooney can play, but are you surprised by what he's done? It's like 14 catches for
No.
240 in 2 weeks.
No. I told you, he had a scrimmage at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Well, we saw the open practice, and he kind of dominated there, too.
And then he'll go. And then tonight there was a couple routes on third down. Remember the one on the sideline that you had to blitz? He runs it 4 yards too deep. I love him. I just told him I love him to death. But then he'll still go do one of those two. And before he was doing things a lot more of those. He would go have one of those days, and it's just maturity, guys. There's nothing wrong with the guy. It's just part of understanding how to do it every play. You know what I'm saying? And everybody wants them to be ready. I do too. But there's going to be some growing pains with that. But also there's going to be some great things.
Jim, will that play with Brian Burns at the end? The targeting play?
I thought he was diving over and he caught him in the hip. I mean, when a guy's going to slide, I don't know what you want the guy to. I mean, he's committing to going. They're 6'5", 240. I don't know. Look, I'm not arguing it's good, bad, indifferent. That's just what I saw from it. And we'll see it. And I mean, they made a good call. It's the call we live with, and we go on.
It seemed like DeMarcus was kind of held on that play, but he came back and had a sack at the end.
Mm-hmm. That was big getting sacked, yes.
Jim,
Yes.
After you guys have lost games, has it ever been hard to motivate guys about what's still out there?
You know what's funny? No. And that's a tribute to the kind of kids we got. Now, they make you mad as heck. I want to, as I say, whip them like I used to, dadgummit, like I used to get. You know what I mean? Because they are kids. I mean, it's funny. You see them big out there and you see the looks on their face and some of the silly things we do. But you know what's funny? They still believe in each other. They believe in what we're doing. And they believe in this program. And they want to be a part of history and what this program has meant in the past. And I think that carries them today. There's a lot of pride in these kids. There really are. I don't think there's ever been a question that we ain't playing for anything. I really don't. I said it earlier. I remember there's questions earlier in the year. I never saw it out of this team ever.
Jimbo, when y'all went down 20 to 10 on the following drive, Dalvin only had 65 total yards, but he had 33 yards on that drive, including the touchdown. Just what was he able to do on that drive that he had?
Well, we got a tempo of the game, and we got some throws going. We got 2 or 3 consistent throws and got them out of the box. You know what I mean? And then they were able to run the football. And then we got back in there and kept him. And the thing I wanted to do is not forget, because sometimes you get pass happy when you get behind. You got to remember it's still plenty of time on the clock, and make sure you give him the football enough. And we were able to get the right looks, and DeAndre checked us and got us into the right place.
Marcus now has double-digit sacks for the second straight year. I mean, how much has it made for him as a difference to come back to this team and this defense?
Oh, huge. I mean, for his growth as a player and development. And I say this all the time, and it's not because juniors come back and say, well, coaches want them to come back. I'm going to tell you what, the NFL wants them to come back too. So they're mature and ready to play at that level when they get up there. And there's so many guys, they're in such a big hurry to get. There was an old adage when I was assistant coach. I tell our guys this, and I'm going to tell them again. The guys that want to come out early that aren't going to be, if you're not going to be a first-round pick or a high second-round pick or something like that. When I was a young assistant coach, had opportunities to take some jobs that I didn't think were the right jobs. People say, you're turning down head jobs. And there were nights that I laid in the bed. Guys, I was young, had some opportunities when I was in my mid-30s. And the guy told me, my object wasn't to be the youngest head coach. My object was to be one of the oldest. In other words, to be ready when I get there and make it and stay and get the right jobs. And I think for these kids coming out early in the draft, I think DeMarcus is a great example. Everybody's in a hurry to get to the NFL. How about being able to get to the NFL and be ready so I can stay in the NFL and stay for a long time? And I think that's where some of these young guys are making such big mistakes, trying to hurry up and get up there so quick. Now, if you got the right pick, like Jameis and those guys, I think you got to listen to the right information and the right things. And DeMarcus did that, and I think it's paying off not only for him, for Florida State, but for him and his future and when he gets up there, him being ready. And I think that's something that all these young guys need to really look at.
Josh Cousins' run, obviously at an important time, maybe kind of forget about it, but it's a tough run.
Big, hard, tough run, and you almost had him a halfback pass too. Threw a pretty good ball too. Remember, he played quarterback. Remember, they snapped it to him a lot, and he could do some things. So, I'm very proud of him and get in there as a good run.
We good? That play overall, just trying to change the pace there, change the look.
Well, they're putting 10, 11 guys in the box. You can only block so many of them. And then those guys can only run over so many of them. You know what I mean? And you got to. That's something we thought we needed to do to score points.
Remember, at the end of the first half, you called that timeout after the first play.
Well, they're back on the 14, and then they threw an incompletion. We get third down there. We're going to have a timeout. If they complete it or inbounds or run it, then we'd have a timeout be, maybe the 40-yard line with a timeout before half, or maybe if they threw another incompletion too.
It was an aggressive play, though, on your part, thinking, okay, we can get the ball back and score again,
Yes,
right?
because of where they were. Now, if they're out there to 35 or 40, I probably don't do that. But they're backed up at that 14-yard line and a punt. I wanted to jump all over that.
Missing your top 3 safeties tonight due to injury, what improvement did you really see from the guys you had back there, especially on that final drive?
I'll have to look. I mean, they made plays when it counted. Those guys all stood up, made plays, and covered and tightly covered guys. Again, I'll look at the film, but those guys. I mean, to go in there and start a game and win a game here in this environment, this atmosphere, and to have a big time drive come down at the end of the game, and the experience on their back and what goes on, the pressure on their back, the last drive, I was very proud of them.
A.J. Westbrook and Matthew Thomas both made plays in the middle of the field where they could have been almost touchdowns.
Oh, exactly.
90-yard
Game
line.
saving guys, went back and tackle guys.
That's kind of what you're.
That's the effort. That's the tough. These guys. This is a tremendous group of team. I mean, guys on this team, guys. I'm telling you, they play hard. They're fun to coach. Like I say, like everybody, we don't do what's right. They're frustrating to coach. Like my kids are frustrating. They get frustrated with me when I get mad. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they listen, and there's never any doubt about their heart and their soul. Good. Thank you, guys.